All right, let's dive into one of the most mind-bending, reality-shattering ideas in all of science. It's a theory that says that you, yeah, the person listening right now, might not be just one person, but an infinite number of people, all living out every possible version of your life in parallel universes. Today, we are getting into the many worlds theory. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Could it really be that for every single choice you make and every choice you don't make, a whole new universe is born? Is there actually a version of you out there who took that other job or said yes when you said no? Let's dig in and see how this could possibly be true. To really wrap our heads around where this wild idea even comes from, we have to start with a famous thought experiment, one that shows just how bizarre reality gets at the smallest scales. It all kicks off with a cat in a box. Okay, so picture this. We've got a cat, a tiny bit of radioactive material, and a bottle of poison, all sealed up together in a box. If a single atom decays, which is a totally random quantum event, it triggers a hammer that smashes the poison. And, well, it's bad news for the cat. If the atom doesn't decay, the cat is fine. Sounds simple, right? Well, it's not.
Here's where your brain starts to melt a little. According to the strange rules of quantum mechanics, until we actually measure it, that atom is in a fuzzy state of being both decayed and not decayed at the same time. It's a state we call superposition. And since the poor cat's life is tied to that atom, it gets pulled into that quantum weirdness. So get this, as long as that box stays closed, the cat is somehow, impossibly both alive and dead at the exact same time. And this totally bizarre conclusion leads us straight into one of the biggest headaches in physics for the last 100 years or so, what we call the measurement problem. It's this fundamental clash between what the quantum math tells us is happening and what we, actually see in the real world.
This right here is the whole problem. Before we open the box, the math is crystal clear. The cat is in a superposition of two states. But the second we look inside, reality just seems to snap into a single, definite state. We only ever see a live cat or a dead one, never both. So what in the world is causing that sudden jump from a fuzzy maybe to a solid yes or no?
For a long time, the standard answer was something called wave function collapse. It's this idea that the very act of looking, of measuring, forces reality to just pick one. That whole cloud of possibilities just collapses into a single point. But how does it do that, and why? The theory has no real answer. It's less of an explanation and more like a piece of tape slapped over a hole to make the math line up with our experience.
And this is where things get really interesting. Because back in the 1950s, a young physicist looked at this whole mess and asked a game-changing question. What if the math has been right all along? What if the universe doesn't mysteriously pick an outcome? What if the wave function never collapses at all? And that one question, well, it opened the door to a completely radical, incredibly elegant, and let's be honest, kinda unsettling new idea about the very fabric of reality. So the guy with the big idea was a PhD student at Princeton named Hugh Everett III. Back in 1957, he basically said, hey, what if we stop trying to fix the math and just take it literally? What if there's no mysterious collapse and something way, way stranger is happening instead? And his whole idea can really be boiled down to this one powerful thought. Instead of reality narrowing itself down to just one possibility, Everett said that every single possible outcome of a quantum event actually happens. The universe doesn't pick a path. It takes all of them. So how does it do that? How can the cat be both alive and dead? Everett's answer was as simple as it was mind-blowing. The universe itself splits in two. Let's break this down with something simpler than a cat. Say you flip a coin. Step 1, you start in one universe. Step 2, the quantum event happens. The coin is flipped. For a split second, it's a mix of heads and tails. Step 3, instead of collapsing, the universe branches off. In step 4, you end up with two separate worlds. In one universe, you see heads. In a totally different one, you see tails. So the huge takeaway here is that reality doesn't collapse, it splits. When you open that box, the universe branches into two. And here's the kicker. You split too. One version of you opens the box and finds a live cat.
And in a completely separate parallel reality, another version of you opens that same box and finds a dead one. Both outcomes happen. Both are equally real. Now, if this splitting happens for every single quantum event, from a decaying atom all the way to a neuron firing in your brain, well, the implications for you personally are just staggering. It means that every time you are at a crossroads in your life, the universe split. There is a version of you out there right now living the life that came from taking that job you decided to turn down. And it's not just the big, life-altering decisions. It's the tiny, random stuff, too. There's a universe where you missed your train this morning and your entire day unfolded in a completely different way because of it. When you add all of this up, it means there's this unimaginably vast number of yous out there. Each one is living in their own universe, experiencing every possible consequence of every event that has ever happened in your life. And the number of these worlds is just, it's hard to even wrap your head around. Some physicists estimate it could be 10 to the power of 100, maybe even more. That's a 1 with 100 zeros after it, a number so huge it's practically infinite. Okay, so, deep breaths. Is this just some cool science fiction idea, or is it a serious proposal? Where does the many worlds interpretation actually stand today in the world of physics? Well, let's look at the scorecard. On the plus side, it beautifully solves the measurement problem. No weird collapse needed, the math is clean, and it works. But, and this is a big but, it's currently untestable. We have absolutely no way to see or talk to these other worlds. And yet, even with that massive hurdle, it's considered a leading theory by many of today's top physicists. And that leaves us with a final, really fascinating thought. From our perspective, we can't feel the universe splitting. Life just seems to move forward in a straight line. But if this theory is right, every choice you make isn't just a choice, it's an act of creation, defining which branch of reality, which version of yourself you will continue to experience. So the question is, which you will you be next?